Hi, everybody. I hope I am finding you getting started on your nonfiction independent reading assignment in journals and doing well. So, I thought to help you get started, in case you are struggling to come up with a great book to read, that I would tell you about two books that you could possibly choose from. The first one is called Enrique's Journey. And I gotta say, this is just an amazing story. So this follows Enrique, and he is a Honduran boy whose mom left him 11 years ago to go to the United States to work to help provide for them, and he leaves Honduras, rides on freight trains, begs, sleeps in the streets, sometimes doesn't get to eat, on his quest to go to the United States to find his mom. And it is an unbelievable tale of his journey and how immigration, there's so much more than just what we see on our news feeds. So I'm going to read you a little bit of the foreword, because I will tell you this, as a mom, I kind of felt like, how could a mom choose to just leave her children? I have two boys, and I don't think I could ever just leave them to fend for themselves. So I think the foreword does a good job of explaining kind of the background of why in some of these countries these choices are made and kids like Enrique are put in the position that they're in. So here's what the prologue says. It's Friday morning, 8 a.m. I hear a key turn in front of the door lock of my Los Angeles home. Maria del Cameron Ferez, who cleans my house every other week, opens the door. She walks into the kitchen. Carmen is petite, intelligent, and works at lightning speed. At this early hour, I'm usually in a frenzy to get out the door and rush to my office. But on days when Carmen arrives, she and I shift gears. Carmen loiters in the kitchen, tidying things. I circle around her, picking up shoes, newspapers, socks, trying to give her a fighting chance at cleaning the floors. The ritual allows us to be in the same room and talk. On this morning, in 1997, I lean on the side of the kitchen island. Carmen leans on the other side. There's a question, she says, that she has been itching to ask. Mrs. Sonia, are you ever going to have a baby? I'm not sure, I tell her. Carmen has a young son she sometimes brings to watch television while she works. Does she want more children? I ask. Carmen's always laughing and chatty and is suddenly just silent. She stares awkwardly down at the kitchen counter. Then quietly she tells me about 4 other children I never knew existed. These children, 2 sons and 2 daughters, are far away, Carmen says, in Guatemala. She left them there when she ventured north as a single mother to work in the United States. She has been separated from them for 12 years. Her youngest daughter, Carmen says, was just a year old when she left. She has experienced her oldest boy, Minor, grow up by listening to the deepening timbre of his voice over the telephone. As Carmen unravels the story, she begins to sob. 12 years? I react with disbelief. How can a mother leave her children and travel more than 2,000 miles away, not knowing when or if she will ever see them again? What drove her to do this? Carmen dries her tears and explains. Her husband left her for another woman. She worked hard but didn't earn enough to feed 4 children. They would ask me for food, and I didn't have it. Many nights they went to bed without dinner. She lulled them to sleep with advice on how to quell their hunger pains. Sleep face down so your stomach won't growl so much, Carmen said, gently coaxing them to turn over. She left for the United States out of love. She hoped she could provide her children an escape from the grinding poverty, a chance to attend school beyond the 6th grade. Carmen brags about the clothes, money, and photos she sends her children. She also acknowledges having made brutal trade-offs. She feels the distance, the lack of affection when she talks to her children on the telephone. Day after day, as she misses milestones in their lives, her absence leaves deep wounds. When her oldest daughter has her first menstruation, she is frightened. She doesn't understand what is happening to her. Why, the girl asks Carmen? Were you not there to explain it? Carmen hasn't been able to save enough for a smuggler to bring them to the United States. Besides, she refuses to subject her children to the dangerous journey. During her own 1985 trek north, Carmen was robbed by her smuggler, who left her without food for 3 days. Her daughter, she fears, will get raped along the way. Carmen balks at bringing her children into her poor, drug and crime-infested Los Angeles neighborhood. As she clicks the dishwasher on, Carmen, concerned that I might disapprove of her choice, tells me that many immigrant women in Los Angeles from Central America or Mexico are just like her, single mothers who left children behind in their home countries. What's really incomprehensible, she adds, are middle class or wealthy working mothers in the United States. These women, she says, could tighten their belts, stay at home, spend all their time with their children. Instead, they devote most of their waking hours and energy to careers with little left for children. Why, she asks with disbelief on her face, would anyone do that? The following year, in 1998, unannounced, Carmen's son, Minor, set off to find his mother. Carmen left him when he was 10 years old. He hitchhikes through Guatemala and Mexico. He begs for food along the way, and he shows up on Carmen's doorstep. He has missed his mother intensely. He could not stand another Christmas or birthday apart. He was tired of what he saw as his mother's excuses for why they could not be together. He had to know. Did she leave Guatemala because she never truly loved him? How else could he explain why she left? Minor's friends in Guatemala envied the money and presents Carmen sent. You have it all. Good clothes, good tennis shoes, they said. Minor answered, I trade it all for my mother. I never had someone to spoil me, to say, do this, don't do that, have you eaten? Can you never get the love of a mother? You can't from anyone else. Minor tells me about his perilous hitchhiking journey. He was threatened and robbed. Still, he says that he was lucky. Each year, thousands of children going to find their mothers in the United States travel in a much more dangerous way. The children make the journey on top of Mexico's freight trains. They call it El Tren de la Muerte, the train of death. So this story follows Enrique as he takes El Tren de la Muerte, the train of death, to come from Honduras to the United States to find his mom. And it is such an eye-opening, amazing story of survival and of just immigration and the parts of it that we never see. So if you're struggling to find a book and you want a really good one, I would encourage you to read Enrique's Journey. The second book I want to tell you about today is not for the faint of heart. So this book is called Between a Rock and a Hard Place. It's written by Aaron Ralston, and it is his story. So Aaron Ralston is like an outdoorsman, a mountaineer. He does lots of hiking and rock climbing and all kinds of wilderness survival stuff. And this is his story of how when he went hiking alone, even though he knew he shouldn't have, he got stuck. While he was climbing, a boulder fell and pinned his arm between the mountain. So it was the boulder in the mountain, and he couldn't get it out. He was by himself. Nobody knew where he was, and he knew that he would die before the rescue people found him. So he had some really tough choices to make. And this is the story of his survival and how he made the choice to cut off his own arm in order to survive. I will tell you, there are pictures, and yes, it does show it. So be prepared. But it is an amazing story of just mental survival and just what you can do when you really put your mind to it. And I think also about safety and how you shouldn't go do those things alone. So I would highly recommend this book if you are not squeamish, because he definitely talks about having to cut his arm off, and he definitely has pictures because he used his phone to kind of record each day and all the different things that he did while he was up there. And there was a time when he thought he wasn't going to make it. So he recorded his goodbye messages to all his family and friends. But he obviously did make it, and he lived to tell his story. And I think it is a phenomenal story of survival to read. I think sometimes we all think, oh my gosh, I could never do that. But his story truly shows us that you can do unbelievable things when you have to. So this is the second book that I could recommend for today if you're struggling to find a nonfiction book to read for your independent reading project. I hope you guys are all doing well. I miss you so much. And I can't wait to see what books you pick and read your journal entries and see kind of what's going on in your life every day. All right. Talk to you guys soon.